Let us continue our study of volume HD17, that is on the 5 decades. So today we are in chapter 9. That means code number is HD17.9. So the title of the sutta is Kajjaniya Sutta, the discourse on the devoured. Kajjati means to eat, to chew. Kajjaniya, that which is devoured, eaten up, if you like. So this is a kind of a very descriptive, very colorful adjective for the 5 decades. So we're talking about the 5 decades. So here we can see where suttas are concerned, or where the Buddha's teachings are concerned. The Buddha always talks about the same thing in different ways. No? We can say the Buddha talks about life. And the most common formula the Buddha will speak about would be the Four Noble Truths. Another very popular formula or model, teaching model, if you like, is the 5 aggregates. And then the most difficult one would be the dependent arising. Dependent arising, you have from a few links to 12 links. But they're all somehow always connected. Let me just quickly give you a summary of the suttas on the board. You can see here the 5 decades. This is how the sutta is structured. Okay? First, this is the structure of the sutta. I'll come to this in a moment. The sutta is about the 5 decades. The 5 decades form, rupa, feelings, vedana, perception, sanya, formation, sankhara, and then consciousness, vijnana. Okay? And they are arranged systematically for very good reason. Just like the 5 precepts, everything is arranged very systematically for a good reason, practical reason, philosophical reasons. Yeah? So here, form of course is the body, right? Rupa, physical form. Again, where form is concerned, we can talk a lot about form by way, for example, of the 5 indriyas, the 5 senses, or we can talk about the 4 elements. So many ways of talking about form. But here, the focus is on the mind. So you find that there are 4 aspects of the mind are concerned, okay? So here we have a very simple kind of flow of ideas. First of all, we have a body, right? So here again, the Buddha uses what the Westerners would call the Socratic method, what we call it the Buddha's method. And this is a series of basic questions. Right? And this is very important in Buddhism. We don't begin with something imaginative. We say, okay, what do we know now? We know we have a body. Right? Everyone agrees with that. We have a body. So that's form. Next thing is, we know we have a form, this knowing. Okay? So the knowing is for the mind. Okay? So very simply put, for our study today, we can say this refers to the mind. Okay? But that is talking using a very big word, So we kind of break it down into different parts so that we can understand how this mind functions. And this is very important today. This understanding of how the mind works for Buddhists is very important because this is a healing process. This is what being Buddhist is about. We can heal ourselves, we can heal people. A very simple way of talking is to be happy. And this is very important, right? So sometimes the Buddha is called Sugata, sometimes considered as the happy one. Sugata means the one who is well gone, or even welcome, right? So someone will just say happy. Su also can mean good, happy. So happiness is the center of Buddhism. If people ask you, why do you become a Buddhist, or what's the purpose of being a Buddhist, I think one of the simplest and very good answer is to be happy. And then you talk about what happiness means. Happiness is more than just having. Well, in Singapore, we have this idea: the more you have, the happier you are. By 2015, Singapore is going to be the financial center of the world, outbeating Switzerland. That means more stress, more work for the Buddhists. So that means all this idea about suffering has become more real, and we become more busy. We need to help people. We help people with ideas. If you have ideas, you don't need one body. So this idea of 1,000 arms of Kuan Yin and so on, there's a voice of the Dharma. So like here, when we're taping the study, so after this, we put it on the YouTube, anyone can look at it. Those are the 1,000 arms of Kuan Yin. That is why we make it a rule. Every Wednesday we have a class in a minding center. Minding center is so tiny, and you can't take many people. So very often, a few friends may come. Even if nobody comes, my wife right now is there, we still take the talk, because the world is listening, right? So we just go on talking because the suttas are so important. So it's like a puja. Every week we make sure there's one sutta that goes on YouTube, right? Sometimes the sutta is long, so we bring it to pass. So, coming back to this, so we have the body, we can't deny it. Because of our body, we have feelings. Now here remember, whenever the Buddha talks about the body, another word is kaya, invariably the kaya is always sa vinyanaka kaya. Sa means with, vinyana, consciousness, ka, make an adjective, sa vinyanaka. The conscious body. We always talk about the conscious body because the dead body is useless. So this is the conscious body. Since we have a conscious body, we have feelings. Pleasant feelings, painful feelings, neutral feelings. How did we get such ideas? Because these are all perceptions, Here you are. Perception. Perception means recognition. We notice this experience happening again, right? We notice the same experience coming back to us. Oh yes, I like this, or I don't like this, or I've not experienced it before, I don't know what it is. And where did this recognition come from? Here, consciousness. The consciousness, the adjective is, the verb rather, is cognize, to know things in a general sense. Our senses experience things in a very basic way. The eyes see form, shapes, the ears hear sounds, vibrations, the nose smells things, and so on. So this is the function of consciousness here, in very simple terms. Of course, consciousness, as you know, some weeks ago we studied, it took quite a long time, very complex, very detailed ideas. The scientists themselves are very interested in this whole idea, which is still not clear to them today. So this is the basic working of our senses, the 5 senses plus the mind. This is a data gathering, so to speak, raw data, if you like. Then when we recognize it, becomes perception. Perception, that means we say, oh yes, I know this one. Okay? Now so far so good. But when you're meditating, you feel pain, and you say, okay, pain is not permanent, I'm letting it go, it's impermanent. Pleasure comes also, you say, well, it's impermanent, we let it go. Okay? We're not reacting to it. But once we react to it, usually we will react with one of the 3 motivational roots, 3 unwholesome roots, either greed, hate, or delusion. And once we react in that way, formations arise. Karma is formed, in other words. There is what's called the ethical or moral tone to it. It's either good or bad. And so we will try to prevent, not to come to this point yet. Now this part is very tricky. In all my years of studying Buddhism, I try to wonder, the sankhara, does the Buddha have sankhara? Do the arahats have sankhara? Then I asked so many people, nobody could answer that. It's one of those problems in Buddhism. We are sometimes not able to find teachers who can answer such questions. Fortunately, the suttas are with us. But the sutta is like a storehouse, like a big library. You've got to really know where to search or be patient enough to search. So in a sense, I would say yes, the answer is found in suttas like the Chula Vedala Sutta. Chula Vedala, Vedala means question answer, catechism. Right? So this is where I have a pretty beautiful teaching. Sankhara, you have 2 words. One is sankhara plural, that refers to unawakened people like us. We have sankhara plural. But where the arahats are concerned, it's singular, sankhara, or sankharo. In other words, let's say, just talking theoretically, if you're talking to the Buddha, he will still hear you. He will look at you. He will know what kind of person you are. So an idea does arise in his mind, but it is reflective of the truth. So it's just sankhara, singular. Alright, so in that sense they do have a kind of, they do respond to you because after all they have a mind, but they do not have defilements. So that's the difference. Yeah? So these are the 5 aggregates, just a quick revision. Okay? So this sutta is really wonderful, very simple and yet profound because it talks about the 5 aggregates in a reflective way. And this is also one reason why we have the Sutta Discovery series. If you look up the other translation available, even Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, the sutta is abridged. In other words, you find the repetitive passages cut short. Okay, this is not Bhikkhu Bodhi's fault. It's the publisher. They say, oh, you got to cut short some of these things so that when you save space, I mean, already you can see that Anguttara Nikaya, how thick it is, It could have been published in 2 volumes like the Samyutta. Even the Samyutta has been crunched into 1 volume, which is a bit more, the paper is thinner, but of course it's more handy. But the point is, in order to put into 1 volume of about 1,000 over pages, they have to, abridge the payalas, the repetitions are all like shortened, So if you are not familiar with the sutta, you will wonder what is this missing part, and this can be very difficult. Even for translators, we have to check the full Pali version. We can't translate Payalas, it's very risky. Because you don't know what's the missing word. You have to guess. So in this sutta, we have laid out everything complete. And this is what the monks and nuns love. For example, there's a forest monastery in Sri Lanka. The monks wrote to me and said, then we will ask your permission, we want to read this, take this sutta, and we want to reflect on it and do meditation. So once you start taking it for meditation, you have to read the complete sutta. You can't say, the Buddha said this, etc. You know what's etc. So here we try our best to put everything in full. However, there are certain times we somehow cannot. I rather prefer not to put everything in full, where the teaching is not meant to be learned. For example, Mahara is talking, he's talking about bad stuff, then it's no point repeating those. That's why you can put etc. Okay? Because we don't need to know those things. But the Buddha is saying these are the, or the storyteller is saying this is what Mahara is saying, So some of these things, perhaps, I don't know, I'm still feeling that we don't have to elaborate those sections. Okay, so now the next thing we'll notice is the structure of the sutta. So number 1, each of these 5 aggregates are defined. So in other words, if you want to know the definition of the 5 aggregates, you can quote the sutta, Kajaniya Sutta. And then number 2, the reflection is that we are being devoured, we are being tormented by these 5 aggregates. The body, for example, is suffering, pain. You sit too long in one way, we suffer. So we have to move. We don't notice this suffering, we think we are comfortable because of changing of posture. This is what Buddha Gosha says. We don't notice suffering because of our changing posture. But it's there. We've got to keep on changing. In fact, we have been changing posture so often until we don't think about it. It becomes autonomic. It becomes so natural, we don't think about it. If you're a baby, the moment you lie too long, if you're tired, you just cry. Right? Somebody got to turn you around. So, devoured. So this is the colorful language. The Buddha likes these kinds of terms to kind of, inspire interest in the people. So this is one of those teaching methods, if you like. I suppose in our times we will use computer slides, things like that, to make the teaching more interesting. So this is the kind of visual, to talk about devoured. So this will excite the minds of the audience. And then number 3 is to disown these aggregates, letting go. So this is a very important idea, often used in counseling. People come to us, say, I'm suffering this, suffering that, someone did this to me, someone did that to me. So one way in Buddhist counseling, once we know the problem well, it's clearly defined, towards the end, you tell this person, okay, I'm going to teach you how to disown your pain. Another way is letting go of the pain. letting go, this only means what? Number one, we avoid as far as possible the pronouns I, me, mine. We don't say I am suffering. We just say there is this pain. We don't say this suffering is mine or somebody took my thing. So we avoid I, me, mine. We just say there is this suffering. This is the kind of feeling it is. So we note it, we let it go. Right? It's owning the pain. So it's a very important, key idea in the Buddhist healing process. This owning the pain. It is based on the teaching of non-self. So all these teachings are meant to be used in this way. They are not just theories and things that we worship. The actual things we use for healing, self-healing, other healing. And then the fourth part is totality formula. Here the Buddha is declaring these five regates are true in this way, anywhere in terms of time and space. There are two more sections, 5 and 6. Section 5 talks about stream winning. In other words, even as a layman, you can still attain awakening in this life through stream winning. And then there is the number 5 is the arahat, the full awakening. Okay? So the two sections are the results of or vimutti. Now if you look at this 4, it's very familiar, isn't it? You have the formula of the Four Noble Truths. First Noble Truth, Second Noble Truth, which is First Noble Truth of course defines suffering, Second Noble Truth defines the cause of suffering, right? Craving, you're devoured by craving. And then third, letting go, right? The Eightfold Path. And then the last one, the third one is Nirvana, right? Letting go of all the suffering. And the last one is the method. So this is the model of the Four Noble Truths. So you can see it's a very interesting clear pattern there. So this is something we should look for whenever we study suttas. There's always some kind of pattern or patterns. Sometimes suttas are very long, so different patterns are used. So once you identify the pattern, it's easier to remember the teachings. I've given the summary of the table of the whole sutta on page 159. So what is given very briefly there is given in slightly more detail in the table, summary of the Patanjali Sutta teachings. So you can see the 5 regates on the x-axis, form, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness with the Pali terms. And then the sections in the sutta on the y-axis on the left side. So you can see, for example, one definition, and then you can see those S symbol, right? The main section 5 to 9, and devoured, section 10 to 15, disowning, section 16 to 20, totality formula, section 31 to 35, the tension on learners. Learners are the sayings, short of the arahat. And then that is section 26 to 30. And the closing section is on the adept. Adept is the aseka, non-learners, no need to learn anymore, the arahats. Section 31 to 37. So this is kind of like a summary. Okay, any questions on the introduction? Okay, let's go on to the translation. Page 160. The discourse on the devourer. Again, don't forget, always remember the sutta number. Sutta number is given in bold under the title as 22.79. That's all you need to remember. The number after that is the Pali Text Society volume and pages. So if you can't remember the title, try to remember numbers. So some people are better remembering numbers, some prefer names. So the suttas in the Samyutta, very often the Evam Me Sutta only appears right at the beginning of the chapter. Then there are collection of suttas, the Evam Me Sutta is not repeated. The sutta will just say at a certain place. Here it is said at Savatthi, very popular place where Buddha gave his teachings. Now just a small note about Savatthi. When we say the Buddha is Savatthi, he's not in the city. It is in a park, so it's like outside the city, right? It's a beautiful, peaceful place. It is like, we all retreat to botanic gardens, a very nice place. So during full moon, new moon days, quarter moon days, people will go to this beautiful park monastery and listen to the Buddha. if you go to the Spark monastery, you see more trees than anything else, and little huts here and there, and then one hut belongs to the Buddha. They call it a fragrant cell, Gandha Kuti. Yeah? So it's a very small little hut. I think it's called fragrant cell because people offer lots of flowers and it's what they call scents. That's a nice smelling perfume offered at that place. So it's a very nice smelling. So that is our tea. All right, now look at the headings. What is recall? And then the next heading, definitions of aggregates. So there's one more statement which I didn't mention, right? So it's called what is recall. We'll come to that in a moment. Look at the subtitles first. Definitions of aggregates. And then next page, 162, you see devoured by aggregates. So there's another big section there. And then page 163, disowning the aggregates. So you have an idea of the length of the sections. So everything repeats itself. And then 164, the totality formula. 165, the learners. And then closing section, the adept. Okay? So this teaching is given to the monks, so we don't have the closing session where someone takes refuge, because the monks are listening. These are teaching especially given to the monks, and through the monks, remember, although monks are sitting, that's the main audience that the Buddha is teaching to, I'm quite certain that there are also other people there, maybe nuns and laymen, laywomen, they're sitting around nearby also listening. Okay? And when the Buddha teaches to the monks, he's also addressing us. That is why today we have this wonderful opportunity to study this sutta again. Because the Buddha, in his great wisdom and compassion and industry, teaches the Dhamma in such a way, it will live on even after him for thousands of years. And today we are studying it in English and modern languages, even more clear than the decades before us. So what is recall? Section 3. Bhikshus, those recluses and Brahmins who recall many past lives, all recall the 5 aggregates of clinging, or a certain one amongst them. So, whatever we experience, even our memories are memories of the 5 aggregates. This is one way of talking about reality. Not human beings, not personalities, not unchanging entities. The 5 aggregates are changing all the time. But the Buddha didn't mention this, not to complicate the issue. So this is like a teaching for beginners, so to speak. But it is not a simple teaching. But it's a good place to start for intelligent people, basically. And what are the 5? Right? So the Buddha is going to define the 5 aggregates. Bhikshus. Now, bhikshu is an English word, by the way. I prefer to use English words when they're available in the big dictionaries. Oxford English Dictionary, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, you find these words are there. You can use the word monk if you like. Priest definitely is not advised here, because priests usually perform rituals. Right? So here, monks should be a good word because monks come from monachus, meaning they are single. Right? That's what I mean. But the word monk does not reflect the original sense of bhikkhu. Right? A bhikkhu lives on bhikha. Bhikha means alms. Again, alms not very good translation in English. In other words, the monks go around to collect whatever they need, the 4 basic things: food, shelter, clothing, health needs. So all they're given in a proper way. So the renunciants are what they call financially insecure, economically unproductive, and that's fine. That's the way they should be because they're meant to be spiritual people who inspire us, who practice the highway to awakening, and that way put great quality into our lives. We are caught up with worldly things. Why are Singapore so rich? Just because Singapore became so materialistic, right? So we become stressed. Right? This, in our latest meditation course, we have one Catholic, or rather ex-Catholic from the Philippines, another ex-Catholic from Chile, coming all the way to do meditation. They're all looking for peace. And I asked them, how do you find our place? They say, we Google mindfulness and then get this place in Singapore. So you can imagine how much people out there need the Dharma. And we have to give them the Dharma that can help them calm themselves, be happy, and so that that's our contribution to the happy world. So whenever we recall something from the past, not just past life, even from the past, it's about the five aggregates. So there's nothing to be upset about, nothing to be angry about. Examine them, they're all impermanent. There the Buddha defines what are the five. Section 4. Bhikshus. When is got to correct the spelling, W-H-E-N. When recalling thus, I had such form in the past. It is just form that one recalls. When recalling thus, I had such feeling in the past. It is just feeling that one recalls. When recalling thus, I had such perception in the past. It is just perception that one recalls. When recalling thus, I had such formations in the past. It is just, or it is only, merely, formations that one recalls. When recalling thus, I had such consciousness in the past. It is just consciousness that one recalls. This one passage alone is so profound because we can talk about this approach as the objective approach. So you have two approaches, subjective approach, objective approach. When I look at something, I see something, that's objective. My mind decides, I like it, I don't like it, that's subjective. Subjective means I start projecting things, my own opinions, not the real thing. I use language, right? Subjective. Objective, that's what it is right in front of me. Okay? So here, objective means the Buddha is saying that's all there is. And we are making a big deal of it. We start telling stories about it. One psychology system uses the word narrative. We have this narrative. We tell stories and then we suffer accordingly. Or we think we're enjoying it, but the reality is we're ending up in pain and suffering. So there is just form, that's all. What does it mean there's just form, that's all? What is form? It's impermanent. So if you think in terms of form, it's impermanent. So there's nothing to grasp, nothing to catch on, hold on to. They're all changing all the time. Yes, I look like this, like that, very handsome, very young, very strong in the past. Now I'm not. That's it, that's the way life is, That is the package deal, as you say. Right? Life is like that. Feelings, okay, when I was young, I feel this, I feel that. Now I don't feel it. Okay, fine, that's the way it is, impermanent. So once you understand the nature of impermanent, once you have that wisdom, you don't suffer anymore. Because that's the way things are. Even if those pleasant feelings are to come again, they will still have to pass away again anyway. Because if you look at the nature of pleasure and pain, it's a duality. Pleasure is the absence of pain, pain is the absence of pleasure. They go back and forth like that. So if you understand that, whatever arises, you take it as it is. You welcome them as guests, and as guests, you have to bid them goodbye. You don't hold them back. Let them come, let them go. So that's meditative language. Then perception, same thing, the way we recognize things impermanent. The way we create our karma also impermanent. And of course the karma is concerned, there are a number of the beautiful teachings, like this teaching on metta, where the Buddha says, you should cultivate loving kindness regularly, because one of the wonderful powers of loving kindness, it limits your karma to this life. So even if we make the mistake of getting angry, there's one sutta which talks about people who are angry. And when you're angry, you can still get out of the negative situation by understanding why you get angry, instead of leading on, to be more negative. Or worse, we break the precepts, None of us enjoy breaking the precepts. But then we do break the precept sometimes for various reasons. But if you have loving kindness, the loving kindness will tell you, wow, I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? So you examine it, you tell yourself, what are the conditions that made me do this? So I better remove those conditions. And then you feel compassionate, because without loving kindness, you can never keep the precepts, the 5 precepts. So with loving kindness, you are strengthened in your moral virtue. And in that way, your karma also, according to the sutta, is limited to this life. So whatever wrong thing you did in this life, you just end here. There is something very tell you, from my experience, you may have to suffer a little bit. I mean, if you've done something bad, you don't enjoy life, So you will come back to you. So that's why patience, compassion is very important. We don't blame people. We say, okay, I'm suffering. This is my past karma coming back. I'm just going to let it come, let it go. And you felt that it doesn't trouble you. Somehow you just suffer just enough and nobody can hurt you more. This is one understanding I have of the nature, how loving kindness prevents karma from following us life after life after life. Alright? So that is formations. Then the last one, consciousness. Even how we see things right now, how I experience things, are all impermanent. Things become meaningful because they are impermanent. Everything is changing, that is why we can understand them. Otherwise, everything is just one thing and you can't understand anything. And this has got very deep philosophical implications, In other words, there's no such thing as an eternal being who's a creator or something like that, eternal soul and so on. Everything is changing. So this is the first statement. Whatever we recall, the 5 etiquettes, then the Buddha goes on to define the etiquettes. Section 5. And what bhikshu is called form, rupa. Now here we need the Pali term because you want to really get the full meaning, you need the Pali terms, and you've got to translate the explanation and definitions also, not just the words. We have a bit of what is called etymology here. Etymology. How words are formed. How ideas are put into words. It is transformed or molested. Rupati, bhikshus. Therefore, it is called form. If you see words in square brackets, that means it's an alternate translation. You can choose either one. Sometimes they have the same meaning, sometimes they have alternate meaning, so you can choose whichever one you like. So in Pali, it is something like Rupati ti bhikkhave, rupa. And this is a very popular way how words are formed in Pali. So it's a play on words, right? Rupati is the verb, rupa is the noun. So the word rupa also is an idea. That's the nature of form. It torments us. We can't sit too long, we can't stand too long, we can't walk too long, we can't lie down too long. We have to change all these postures. Transformed or molested by what? Transformed or molested by cold, transformed by heat, transformed by hunger, transformed by thirst, transformed by the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and serpents. This is a reflection for the monks who are in robes, for example. Or you can use the word molested. Our form, our body is molested, troubled by cold, by heat, by hunger, by thirst, by the touch, or if you like, by the bites of flies and mosquitoes, troubled by the wind, you feel cold, right? Or dry, by the sun, you feel hot, the sunburn, serpents, snakes, stingers, you can die on that account, right? So the body is like that. In one of the suttas called the Kakachupama Sutta, the parable of the double-handed sword, the fighting sutta, the Buddha says, monks, even if someone were to cut you up with a double-handed sword, cut you in half, if you bear any anger, you will not practice my teachings. Oh, this fighting, you imagine that, But here, the idea is not to have any negative thoughts at all. Why the Buddha says, that's the nature of the body, You are standing in the, or in modern terms, you are standing in the path of the projectile, so you get hit. So don't complain. Say, well, you have a body, so you stop the stone, to the one through. So don't get upset. That kind of idea. So it's amazing objective. Of course, not everybody agrees with that. Not the world won't agree with that. So well, that's the world. The world is Pati Sotagami. The world goes against the Karma Dharma. The Buddha talks about non-violence, right? People like Gandhi followed it. And I mean, that's amazing. You could use an idea and draw independence to India. So you take a lot of determination. So this shows that goodness is there, and the Buddha is talking about this goodness, which you are capable of. If we really focus our minds and energies. It is transformed bhikshus, therefore it is called form. Right? So this last line is also a kind of a cue. It means that paragraph, the definition ends here. So it begins with the same sentence, ends with the same sentence. So okay, that's one definition. Remember, all these oral tradition, people are listening. So as they listen, they hear, okay, that sentence repeated again, okay, that's one set of ideas. Here we use numbers. Right? So now we go to number 6. And what bhikshus is called feeling, Vedana. Now this word Vedana is very interesting. It comes from the root word ved, meaning to know. So in Buddhist psychology, Vedana is just not just feeling in the Western philosophical sense. It also means how we know things. We don't just know things. We always attach some value to it, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. And then we respond to it, liking, disliking, and ignoring. And as a result, we reinforce the 3 roots, 3 hate illusion. Okay? And then comes the etymology again. It feels, Vedayati, bhikshus, therefore it is called feeling. Vedayati ti bhikkhave vedana. It feels, therefore it is called vedana. So here again, notice, if you use the English, it doesn't seem to make sense. You have to look at the Pali. And what does it feel? Again, the Buddha doesn't just say something, he explains it. What does it feel? It feels pleasure, it feels pain, it feels neither pain nor pleasure. It feels neither pain nor pleasure. So in modern English we say neutral feeling. It feels bhikshus, therefore it is called feeling. So that process one more set of ideas. Feeling. Yeah? Next, again. And what bhikshu is called perception, sanya. It perceives, sanjanati, bhikshus. Therefore it is called perception. Sanjanati ti bhikkhave sanya. Alright? Janati, look at this Pali word again. You have in sanjanati the simple verb janati. Janati simply means he knows. But there's a prefix in front. San, S-A-M with a dot, right? This is equivalent to the Latin com or con. So it's a sense of putting together, synthesize. And this is very important. It gives us a very useful clue to the meaning of sanya. Sanya, in other words, we put ideas together and then we recognize what this feeling is. Let me read a bit more, then I'll explain further. What does it perceive? It perceives blue, it perceives red, it perceives bhikshus, therefore it is called perception. So here the example Buddha used is colors. I'll just hold on the explanation until we come to consciousness, but we've got to explain this in connection with consciousness. So just hold on that idea for a while. Next one, number 8. And what bhikshus is called formation, sankhara. Here I'm using the stem form sankhara. In the dictionary you get sankhara, but you can also use plural if you like. Sankhara. They construct the conditioned Sankatan api sankaronti pictures. Therefore, they are called formations. So here we have a sentence. Sankatan. Here Sankatan is a participle, it's a kind of a verbal noun, that which is constructed. Api sankaronti is plural. Okay? So this sankara or sankaronti has this idea of putting together, constructing. It constructs the condition. What does condition here mean? Anything in this world, anything in this universe, sankara, whatever is in this universe, including ideas and things and ideas. They construct a condition which is, therefore they are called formations. They form ideas. Some translators use the word constructions. Alright? So formation is a simpler word. And what is the condition that they construct? They construct form as form. They construct feeling as feeling. They construct condition, the word condition. They construct condition feeling as condition feeling. They construct condition perception as perception. They construct condition formations as formations. They construct condition consciousness as consciousness. They construct the condition which is, therefore they are called formations. Okay, here we have another clue, the nature of the awakened mind. They construct the conditioned aggregates. This is for people like us who are not awakened. So here you have the Panchu Padana Kanda. In other words, the 5 aggregates of clinging. We cling to these aggregates. We cling because of these aggregates. We take care of our body, we love our body, or we fear losing our body, we fear losing our feelings and so on. We cling to them. We crave for things we do not yet have, tanha, but we cling on upadana to things we already have. We don't let go of it. Okay? So this is our problem as unawakened beings. But in the case of the Arhats and the Buddhas, they also have aggregates. They also have bodies like us, they can hear us, but they do not cling to these things. So if you talk of the Buddhas and Arhats, then you remove the word condition. Right? They construct forms. That's all. No, not condition. Right? In other words, they're not conditioned by greed, by hate, by delusion. That's the meaning. So the Buddha sees you as you are, and that's it. Doesn't have any opinions about you. Whatever you is as you are. Okay. The last one of 9. And what Bhikshu is called consciousness, vijnana. Again, notice vijnana, jnana at the end, and then sanya, again the jna at the end. Jna means knowledge. So you have sanya, vijnana, they come the same root, jnana, they meaning knowledge. Right? So here, sang meaning putting together, synthesize, synthetic. Vijnana, vi means like bisect. Bisect means to cut open, right? So bi and vi are very close in meaning. It is to the English prefix and the Pali prefix. Vijnana is the kind of knowledge that analyzes things. So you get up in the morning, once your consciousness returns to you, first thing you ask yourself, am I dreaming or not? And then you say, oh, no, I'm not dreaming. Why? Because you can feel your body, right? Suddenly we wake up, our body consciousness is awakened first. Sometimes the alarm goes out and our sound consciousness arises first. Sometimes our spouse wakes us up, and the body wakes up first. Sometimes we wake up, open our eyes, and we see things, okay, vision and so on. Sometimes we smell, we smell smoke, so, oh, there's fire. So these are the 5 physical ways. Taste, not like the other, someone pours water in your mouth. So anyway, so these are technically speaking, 5 ways we get up in the morning. Okay? And that's how consciousness works. We are aware to that way, recognize things that way. So this is how the definition is given, the etymology. It cognizes vijanati, therefore it is called consciousness. You see, if you read English here, it does give a bit of sense. It cognizes, therefore it is called consciousness. One reason is because I purposely choose this word, cognize, so it's quite close to consciousness, not very, but close enough. You can say it knows things, therefore it is called consciousness. It's not very helpful somehow. That's why you need a Pali term here. Vijanati. Vi dash janati. It janati knows, we, by way of we, meaning it breaks things up. Is it seeing, smell, smelling, tasting, touching, whatever? Right? So vijanati. So vijanati, when you make it to a noun, is vijnana. Okay? And what does it cognize? Here comes the tricky part. It cognizes sour, it cognizes bitter, it cognizes spicy, hot, it cognizes sweet, it cognizes sharp taste it is. It cognizes mild, meaning not sharp. It cognizes salty, it cognizes bland, that means unsalted, flat taste if you like. It cognizes which therefore it is called consciousness. Now comes this big problem, The modern psychologist will tell you, so what? I don't know what the Buddha is talking about here, Consciousness experiences taste. Sanya, perception, experiences colors. What's the difference? This is one of those tricky things. Okay, if you look at this, reflect this for a while. Consciousness is able to experience something even when it doesn't see it. That's one difference. Sanya, on the other hand, seems to always experience things which can be seen. Seen in a visual way or mental way. This is the hint given to us here. Right? Now we're talking about 2,500 years ago. Someone who can talk like this about the mind is amazing, I must tell you. 2,600 years ago. Even today, the scientists are just beginning to understand these things. We're talking about scientists who have this centuries of knowledge behind them. And here we're talking about the Buddha, who's not a scientist, who is using his meditation. He notices all these things and he's describing all these things as clearly as words would allow. And this is what I am citing the mind scientists today, that the Buddha was able to describe the workings of the mind in such clear and figurative terms too. Alright? So, Sanya is able to see things through visualization. Consciousness, on the other hand, simply experiences it even without seeing. Simply like through taste, for example. To feeling. So this is one explanation. You want more details, please read the introduction. Right? Okay, so the definition part is finished now. Now comes the reflection, devoured by aggregates. Section 10 now, page 162. Daring bhikshus, in this matter in other words, the instructed noble disciple reflects us. Instructed noble disciple. We are being instructed. You read the sutta, you are instructed. Okay? Noble refers to the sayings, but on a simpler level, it includes anyone who keeps the precepts. Right now, we here do qualify in a way. Insofar as you are sitting here, well, I can tell my class, as you're sitting here peacefully, you are keeping the 5 precepts at least. And that's wonderful, right? So we are what I call noble individuals for the moment. Once you walk through the door, I can't say anything. That's up to us. But while we are here, we have noble individuals who has listened to the suttas like a short retreat. So we reflect thus. Notice it's all in the first person. That means it's meant for your reflection. I am right now being devoured by form, right? Even as you sit here, your cells are falling off, it's something got to vacuum it later on. And our body is going through metabolism. We are breathing in, breathing out. there is this subtle change going on in our form. In the past too, I was devoured by form in just the same way that I am now being devoured by present form. If I were to delight in a future form, then in the future too, I will be devoured by form in just the same way that I am now being devoured by the present form. Right? So, as in the present, so in the future, if I still have this craving, in other words, learning to let go. Okay? Having reflected thus, he is indifferent to a present form. He does not delight in a future form. He practices for the sake of revulsion towards the present form, for its fading away, for its cessation. Notice, the teaching there is he does not delight in a future form. He does not, is indifferent to a past form. Actually, same meaning, indifferent, does not delight. In other words, it's just take it as it is, not watered by the. He practices for the sake of revulsion. This revulsion is a word referring to the arahant. It's difficult for us to feel revulsed. We can only talk about it. To feel shocked by the body. Oh my goodness, the body is like this. It's not perfect, you know. Much as we want to be shocked, somehow we still attend the body anyway, right? So, but the idea is there, right? You see, once you feel revulsion of the body, you don't care about it anymore. This is the reason why laymen never remain long as arahants. This is one of those explanations very difficult to understand sometimes. Why lay people to become arahats, they don't last very long. That's because they're so happy with themselves, they're just contented, they understand the nature of the body, they just sit there, meditate, and how long can you last without taking food and water? Maybe 1 week. And then they just pass away happily, not to be reborn. Unless they become monks and nuns, then they got to keep the monks' rules, and the nuns' rules, they got to go on alms round, they got to keep their body healthy, to finish off the karma, and also show their compassion by teaching the Dharma to others, and be an example to others. So, in that way, the Vinaya protects the Dharma by making the monks live their normal life, so that they are vehicles and vessels of the Dharma for the benefit of all beings. Don't misunderstand this teaching that we should not care for the body. It doesn't mean that. It means this is the nature of the body, it is impermanent. But you must also know the Buddha talks a lot about keeping the body healthy. There is a whole section on medicine in the Vinaya. And traditional Indian medicine actually is rooted in the Buddha's idea of medicine. One Western scholar said that later on the Ayurvedic people start changing the names and so on and claim they were the ones studying. Actually it started with the Buddha. All the documents are there. For example, in the Pesajja Khanda of the Vinaya, the ancient medicines, all described in some detail there. So in other words, what the Buddha is saying, the monks have to take care of themselves too, because some of these monks live in the forest all by themselves. They don't carry cell phone, handphone with them, so they can't call anybody, hey, send an ambulance to tree number 100, and mom's not well. You know? Can't do that. So they have to take care of themselves, wherever they are. Basic things, of course, right? And then the Buddha often gives a reflection, you know, in some teachings says, look, you better work hard to get awakened right now in this life, because you live in the forest, a scorpion may bite you, a snake may bite you, a tree may fall on you, all kinds of things, you know. So don't take life for granted also. Alright, so that's 4, number 12. Okay, now that you have heard number 11, which is quite clear, the other 4 sections, they all are templates, they repeat. So this is where we'll go into puja mode. Let us read together these wonderful passages so that we can reflect on them also. Section 12 onward, shall we do that together? Okay. I am devoured by feeling. In the past too, I was devoured by feeling in just the same way that I am now being devoured by the present feeling. If I were to seek delight in the future feeling, then in the future too, I will be devoured by feeling in just the same way that I am now being devoured by the present feeling. Having reflected thus, he is indifferent to the past feeling. He does not delight in the future feeling. He practices for the sake of devotion towards the present feeling. His fading away, his cessation. I am devoured by perception. In the past too, I was devoured by perception in just the same way that I am now being devoured by the present perception. If I were to seek delight in a future perception, then in the future too, I will be devoured by perception in just the same way that I am now being devoured by the present perception. Having reflected thus, he is indifferent to a past perception. He does not delight in a future perception. He practices for the sake of towards the present perception, for its fading away, for its cessation. I am devoured by formations. In the past too, I was devoured by formations, in just the same way that I am now being devoured by the present formations. If I were to seek delight in a future formations, then in the future too, my formations in just the same way that I am now being devoured by the present formations. Having reflected thus, he is indifferent to the past formations. He does not delight in future formations. He practices for the sake of devotion towards the present formations, for their fading away, for their cessation. I am devoured by consciousness. In the past too, I was devoured by consciousness in just the same way that I am now being devoured by the present consciousness. If I were to seek delight in the future consciousness, then in the future too, I will be devoured by the consciousness in just the same way that I am now being devoured by the present consciousness. Having reflected thus, he is indifferent to a past consciousness. He does not delight in the future consciousness. He practices for the sake of revulsion towards the present consciousness, for its fading away, for its cessation. Right? Fading away, cessation. Fading away of craving, cessation of suffering is the famous formula, letting go formula. So,
actually, why is it changed from I to he?
Because of the Buddha is telling this is what you practice, and then the Buddha changes to instructive mode, telling the monks, he referring to the practitioner. Yeah, you can see there are quote marks. Yeah, so it changed from first person to third person. So when the Buddha says first person, it's like he's addressing us right now. Timeless Dharma, this is the one. Then when you say he is talking to the monks, now say you also must practice something like that. This is one way of looking at it. The interesting, the grammar of the way the Buddha talks to the people, or the way that the sutta compilers present the Buddha. Okay, any other questions? Yes?
On the use of pronouns.
Yeah.
Under definition of aggregates, each of the aggregate was referred to in the third pronoun, it.
Yes.
To take an example, feeling, it feels, in other words, feeling feels,
Yes.
right? So what it choose is called feeling.
Yeah.
It feels, it choose, therefore it's called feeling, meaning
Yeah, okay.
it is feeling, so feeling
Yeah.
feels, therefore it's called
Thank
feeling.
you.
And so
Yeah.
it goes, so I'm thinking, is it, why is the third pronoun used? Is it to reinforce objectiveness of a third person rather than the first pronoun, I? Because grammatically it's nonsensical. No, I'm
Speaking as a lawyer, yes.
No. So I'm just wondering, is
Yeah,
it
true.
a deliberate attempt
No, this is a
to
good
make it
question.
a third person? In
Yeah.
other words, it's not
There's a
my
very good
feeling,
reason.
but
Yes. Yeah.
it's an objective thing.
Correct.
Is that the reason?
It's this is a common meditative language. Feeling feels. You don't say I feel, because there's no I to feel. Of course, when you say feeling feels, we call it tautology. You we're talking to ourselves.
So
right?
so
Yeah,
the answer is you don't
appears not to
only
make sense.
examine.
Ah, yes.
Is that why?
That's right. This is the language of spirituality. Feeling feels. Another way of saying is there is only feeling, that's all. This is called the Bahya teaching. This is a very famous way of talking, so famous that there's even a name, it's called the Bahya teaching. In the Bahya Sutta. It is also taught to Malunkyya Putta. But we don't call it Malunkyya Putta teaching. One reason because the name is too long. But the real reason is because Malunkyya took a long time to go to retreat. He was all the time arguing with the Buddha philosophically. When he was old only, he decided to go to retreat and the Buddha had to tease him a bit. Say, oh, now you're going, are you sure? What the young people say. Anyway, he got enlightened with the same teaching as the one given to Bahya. And we call it Bahya teaching because when he heard it, on the spot he became enlightened. He was ready. He died as a layman or a heart. So because of that, it's called Bahya teaching. The teaching is very simple. In whatever is seen, there is only the seen. Reflect in this way. Whatever is heard, there is only the heard. Whatever is seen, heard, whatever is sensed, there is only the sense. Whatever is cognized, there's only the cognized, the four names. Right? The three senses of taste, smell, and touch, they are combined the word sense. This is the so-called Vipassana teaching. Whatever you see, there is just an experience, nothing to identify with. You can't say, once I is gone already. So this is sometimes called the Bahya teaching. You can look up Bahya. I mean, now you have the index, online you can look through the index and locate the sutta. Otherwise you write to us, we will give the sutta to you. Okay? So that's why it seems to be talking tautologically, feeling feels. Right?
So in other words, the answer is yes, to make it
Objective.
Objective, don't own it. So
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a language of spirituality.
Sorry, one more question. Moving on, divide by aggregates, the last one, 15, on divide by consciousness. So you want to okay, so he practices for the sake of revulsion towards present consciousness. But isn't consciousness required? But I mean, isn't consciousness required except that it should be unconditioned consciousness? I'm sorry.
Yeah. You go back to remember a few weeks ago we studied the nature of consciousness? That there is, consciousness can also be aware of itself, reflexive consciousness. For example, I know I am meditating. I know I'm watching the breath. So in the deeper parts of the breath meditation, we don't use words anymore. We use the knowing. So the mind watches itself. So there are two aspects there, so to speak. Yeah? So of course in the end it becomes one. When you don't even notice that otherness, then you have dead samadhi. So that's what we are talking about. Yeah? So here this consciousness can be aware of itself. Why? Because there is the mind consciousness, and there is this visual consciousness, there is this taste consciousness, there's this touch consciousness. So the mind is aware of that consciousness. That's another way of explaining it.
So you do require consciousness?
In a sense, yes. That consciousness, how shall we say it, is simply functional consciousness. It's simply functional consciousness, just there, like the Buddha's consciousness, just reflecting, not creating new ideas.
So what is the practical effect of practicing for the sake of revulsion so that it ceases?
This is the consciousness that picks on all the other five. And also, the mind also has its own creations. So we let go of those creations. For example, if I see you, I say, I like you, I don't like you, I don't care about you, that one is let go.
But actually, therefore, it's not really consciousness we want to cease, but it's a conditioning that
correct.
conditions, that colors the consciousness, right?
It's another way of looking at it. Now, another way of understanding this is all the 5 aggregates are one and the same thing. The 5 aggregates are not things, they are ways of looking at our experience.
Yes.
Now, that is easier to understand, right?
Yes.
Okay, so these are ways of talking. So we must be very careful not to get caught up with the ways of talking as the thing taught. You know, I mean, trying to. Wittgenstein went mad talking this way. You know, Wittgenstein, Bertrand Russell said is the greatest philosopher of the 20th century. And you know, this guy, he was living in Singapore, he was put behind bars, something, Wittgenstein. Everything is crazy. He was really talking things which sound so crazy, but the philosophers were amazed. I mean, they could understand what he was talking, you know, you and I could understand. So they regard him as a great thinker, but then I can tell you, philosophy is a very tough thing, and the Buddha has warned us, you know, right? You think the unthinkable, you go mad. And there you are. Wittgenstein is one example. And there are others who delve too deep into philosophy, and they can't pull themselves back. See? Whereas the Buddhists, we can tell ourselves, all these are mind-made. They're not real, so we don't kind of get lost in them. So when you go to the maze, you can get lost. You know, just like Nietzsche once said, if you stare into the abyss will look back at you. Right? So it's a very dangerous thing. So your mind is not enlightened, you have to be very careful with this. No? Okay? Alright, let's continue. Disowning the aggregates. 16, section 16, page 163. What do you think, bhikshus? Is form permanent or impermanent? This is very familiar. You know, remember the second sutta? Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. Same dialogue. This is the healing. This is one passage Buddhist counselors must know. Right? What do you think, bhikshus? Is form permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. Okay. These are called rhetorical questions, but they become healing questions when the answerer does not know the process. That which is impermanent, bhikshus, is it suffering or pleasurable? Suffering, Bhante. So in saying these words, that is the healing process. That's the healing process. That's why it's very difficult to understand. For example, take the case of Patachara, you know, this lady who lost everything in her life within one day and went mad. And the story went that when she appeared before the Buddha, all the Buddha said was, be healed, Patachara. And then Patachara was healed. It's amazing, you don't see such stories in the suttas, in other suttas, you know. So I was wondering, how did the Buddha do this? Of course, we can say Patachara's karma ripened, and the Buddha's personality is such that even if you are near him, you feel so peaceful. You know? There are even traditions that say, if you are in the presence of the Buddha, the living Buddha, the real Buddha in India, that is, no bad karma will ripen. But don't take this as a magical thing, you know. If you're in the presence of someone so holy and happy and kind and wonderful like the Buddha, you don't feel like doing evil things. I mean, just like here we are in the presence of Dharma, I don't think anyone will even think of breaking any of the precepts. That's the power of presence, of goodness. Okay? So here, in other words, all the Buddha need to say is just be healed. It's just like, you know, when we were little kids, we're so terrified, our parents will say, it's okay. It's okay. And that's all the parents need to say. And you feel so good. Of course, you don't have this next best idea, it's a God idea. You imagine God saying that to you. But here, we know, we can say it to ourselves. We don't need the imaginary ideas. Alright, let's go on. So, that which is impermanent, bhikshus, is it suffering or pleasurable? Suffering, Bhante. That which is impermanent, suffering, subject to change, is it fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, this I am, this is myself. No, Bhante. These are the 3 characteristics in practice. Right? Something is impermanent. Since this is impermanent, it brings unsatisfactoriness or suffering. If it is impermanent and suffering, can you own it? Is there a self? Of course not. All the 3 characteristics are there. You can even call this section reflection of the 3 characteristics if you like, right? Disowning the aggregates. Okay, so this first part applies to form, and then the other 4 aggregates apply in the same way. So let's do our Sutta Puja again. We recite reflectively mindfully together. Okay, such a, please.
Yeah, so it reads like this, that which is impermanent, and actually in brackets, that which is suffering. Is that how it reads? 16.3, that which is impermanent, comma, suffering, comma, subject to change. So, to give meaning to it, is, if I may expand it, please correct me if I'm wrong. So it means that which is impermanent, that which is suffering, that which is subject to change.
Correct.
Is that how the meaning is?
Yes.
Okay.
You see what Buddha is like?
Thank you.
He has made the first statement and then second statement, and then he combines them.
Okay.
Or in other way, he got the three characteristics, right? You first mentioned the first characteristic. All conditioned things are impermanent. All conditioned things are dukkha. Because of these two truths, you will come to the third truth. This is one way of reflecting on it.
Thank you.
Okay, let us recite together. 17 onwards. What do you think, bhikshus, is feeling, permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. That which is impermanent, bhikshus, is it suffering or pleasurable? Suffering. That which is impermanent, suffering, subject to change. Is it fit to be regarded as, this is mine, this I am, this is myself? No, what do you think, bhikshus? Is perception permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. That which is impermanent, bhikshus, is it suffering or pleasurable? Suffering. That which is impermanent, suffering, subject to change, is it fit to be regarded as, this is mine, this I am, this is myself? No, and what do you think, bhikshus? Are formations permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. That which are impermanent, bhikshus, are they suffering or pleasurable? Suffering. That which are impermanent, suffering, subject to change, are they fit to be regarded as, they are mine, this I am, this are myself? No, what do you think, bhikshus? Is consciousness permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. That which is impermanent, bhikshus, is it suffering or pleasurable? Suffering. That which is impermanent, suffering, subject to change, is it fit to be regarded as, this is mine, this I am, this is myself? No, right, so now we're nearing the end. We're right in the middle actually, but reaching the ending up. Now the Buddha summarizes everything. He says this is true everywhere. 21. Therefore, bhikshus, whatever kind of form, right? So now he says, not just your body, whatever kind of form, whether past, present, or future, in terms of time, right? Internal or external, that means whether yourself or other people, right? Gross or subtle. Here, one explanation is gross experiences of the five physical senses, and subtle is the mind. Inferior or superior. Here, inferior refers to our world, superior the form world, formless world. And then far or near, in this universe, in this world, or any other world. The Buddha also talks about other universes, parallel universes, even in those universes. Same thing, right? Buddha Gosha gives a slightly different definition. You can look at footnote 42 if you like. All forms should be seen as they really are, with correct wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. So here again the disponing practice continue, right? Okay, let's do the puja, Sutta Puja again, 31. Therefore, bhikshus, whatever kind of feeling there is, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, all feelings should be seen as they really are with correct wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Therefore, bhikshus, whatever kind of perception there is, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, all perception should be seen as they really are with the correct wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Therefore, bhikshus, whatever kind of formations there are, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, all formations should be seen as they really are with the correct wisdom thus. They are not mine, this I am not, These are not myself. Therefore, bhikshus, whatever kind of consciousness there is, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, all consciousnesses should be seen as they really are, with correct wisdom thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Notice these are all very reflective teachings. We know that, but knowing is not enough. We have to internalize them, practice them in our meditation, realize it on the bhavana level, bhavana panya, or bhavana maya. So now the Buddha goes on to say the benefits. Who will result from this? The learners. 26. The learners are those saints, Srimina onwards, until just before the Arahat become, the full-fledged Arahat. Bhikshus, this is called a noble disciple who dismantles or diminishes and does not pile up. He abandons and does not cling. He dissociates from, does not associate with. He extinguishes and does not kindle. Okay, these are very meditative words. They make no sense until you read the following passages. We will read this together, 27. Each of these define the sentences mentioned, 27. And what is it that he dismantles and does not pile up? He dismantles form, he does not pile it up. He dismantles feeling, he does not pile it up. He dismantles perception, he does not pile it up. He dismantles formations, he does not pile it up. He dismantles consciousness, he does not pile it up. And what is it that he abandons and does not cling to? He abandons form, he does not cling to it. He abandons feeling, he does not cling to it. He abandons perception, he does not cling to it. He abandons formation, he does not cling to it. He abandons consciousness, does not cling to it. And what is it that he dissociates from and that he does not associate with? He dissociates from form, he does not associate with it. He dissociates from feeling, he does not associate with it. He dissociates from perception, he does not associate with it. He dissociates from formation, he does not associate with it. He dissociates from consciousness, does not associate with it. And what is it that he extinguishes and does not kindle? He extinguishes form, he does not kindle it. He extinguishes feeling, he does not kindle it. He extinguishes perception, he does not kindle it. He extinguishes formation, he does not kindle it. He extinguishes consciousness, he does not kindle it. This is the practice of meditation. Right? So in meditation, let's say feeling, okay, a negative feeling arises, you just let it go. You have not, you can use any of the verbs you choose here. There are 8 of them. 4 pairs of verbs. Okay? So you just let go of the feelings. Gone. So that you're on the way to become a streaming and so on. So you are involved in that action. You are doing that. The unawakened person is not doing that. Now, in the case of the Arhat, the verb changes. Okay? Look at 31. Seeing thus bhikshus, the noble disciple feels revulsion. Notice the revulsion is talking about the Arhat. Towards form, towards feeling, towards perception, towards formation, towards consciousness. Through feeling revulsion, he becomes dispassionate. Through being dispassionate, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there arises the knowledge, free the mind. He understands. Okay, before that, up to this point, free the mind, it's called the experience of awakening. And then the last one is called the knowledge of awakening, Vimuttiñāna. He understands. Destroyed his birth. The holy life has been lived. What needs to be done has been done. There is no more of this state of being. Bhikshus, this is called a noble disciple who neither dismantles nor piles up. See how the language changes here? This is the meaning when you say the Arhat is neither good nor evil, it's beyond good and evil. His task is done, he doesn't need to do it anymore. It's so natural to him, he will never break the precepts. Okay? He dwells having this mental, notice it's past participle, finishing the past. He neither abandons nor clings. He dwells having abandoned, he neither dissociates nor associates with. He dwells having dissociated, he neither distinguishes nor kindles. And what is it, bhikshus, that he neither dismantles nor piles up, but having extinguished it, he dwells? Okay, let's read this. Having dismantled it, he dwells, he neither dismantles small nor piles it up. Having dismantled it, he dwells, he neither dismantles feelings nor piles up. Having dismantled perception nor piles it up. Having dismantled it, he dwells, he neither dismantles perception nor piles them up. Having dismantled it, he consciousness, no powers, and having dismantled it, he dwells. What is it, bhikshus? That he neither abandons nor clings to. Having abandoned it, he dwells. He neither abandons form nor clings to it. Having abandoned it, he dwells. He neither abandons feelings nor clings to it. He abandoned it, he dwells. He neither abandons perception nor clings to it. Having abandoned it, he dwells. He neither abandons formation nor clings to them. Having abandoned it, he dwells. He neither abandons consciousness nor clings to it. Having abandoned it, he dwells. What is it, bhikshus? That he neither dissociates from nor associates with. Having dissociated it from it, he dwells. He neither dissociates from form nor associates with it. Having dissociated, he dwells. He neither dissociates from feelings nor dissociates from it. Having dissociated from it, he dwells. He neither dissociates from perception nor associates with it. Having associated from it, he dwells. He neither associates from formation nor associates with it. From it he dwells. He neither dissociates from consciousness nor associates with it. And having associated from it he dwells. What is it, bhikshus? What he neither distinguishes nor kindles. Having extinguished it, he neither extinguishes form nor kindles it. Having extinguished it, he neither extinguishes feelings nor kindles it. Having extinguished it, he neither extinguishes perception nor kindles it. Having extinguished it, he neither extinguishes formation nor kindles it. Having extinguished it, he neither extinguishes consciousness nor kindles it. Having extinguished it, he dwells thus liberated in mind. This mind, bhikshus, the devas together with Indra, the devas together with Brahma, the devas together with Prajapati, worship Brahma. Homage to you, O Lord of men. Homage to you, O highest of men. We ourselves do not thoroughly know, relying on what you meditate. Right? Notice this last verse. It sounds as if it's addressed to the Buddha, but it could well refer to the Arhat also, any Arhat. Because the awakening of the Arhat and the Buddha are the same awakening as the Sutta says. So here we can see a very complete teaching, right? From the mention of the five decades, definition, how they work, how to free yourself from them, the method, and then the people and the beings who are exemplars of this kind of spiritual experience. So the Sutta ends here. Any questions? 5 minutes, just nice, huh?
It's Palsa.
Sorry?
Palsa.
Palsa means to build up, to collect.
Here, the words, all these words, dismantles, abandons, disassociates, extinguishes.
Yeah.
Same effect, different meaning, same meaning? Or to be repetitive? Are there subtle differences?
My feeling is you can look at them as having the same meanings. meaning to draw towards you. These are different expressions for craving. The opposite of it would be letting go of craving. That's one way of looking at it. But the Buddha is using different words for the sake of worldly people. Because we love words, we love different words, then we can associate with them. We start saying, oh, this language is beautiful and so on. You know? But ultimately, if you really reflect, you've got to let go of the words also anyway. Right? So these are helping words. They're like bridges. You construct the bridges in different ways, different kinds of bridges.
Just further illustration.
Yeah. Yes. This is the playfulness of the Dharma. Okay. So we can say different things, different words, but we end up pointing to the same thing.
Right.
So this is Any other question?
Yeah.
Yes.
My understanding is paragraph 32
Yes.
sets the standard for our arms.
Yes. The definition. Yeah.
That's very good, but for ordinary people, what kind of standard should we have?
People, the simple word, learn to let go, basically, learn to let go. The problem is learn to let go, easier said than done. Because you tell people let go, say, how do you do it? You know? So, yeah, that's where you have to give them other teachings like loving kindness and being happy, calling happy moments in their life. That's why every week, you know, I write this essay, this short reflection for people to be happy. Only yesterday, someone came to me and said, you know, I've been reading your reflection. Sometimes I read it, I feel as if you have been writing specially for me. I said, you're not the only one who said that. It just happened because I said, you have been learning the Dharma, you know, so you can connect, you know. So I happen to be in the way. So it's the Dharma that seems to speak to us. So that's why we need to connect with people in that way. So that it changes their life. People come to temple, their lives must be changed somehow. You know? We don't come in, go out, and the same person, or come out worse, terrible. So the idea is Buddhism must be a life-changing experience for the better. And the sutras have that effect on us. Any other question?
Actually, the difference between the learners and the adept, is it because the adept is now free from duality?
Correct. Yeah. The adept is the arahant. His job is done. So you notice the language, the verbs in past participle. Whereas the three saints, or the seven kind of saints, if you count them as 8, there are still something to be done, as the Sutta says, still something to be done. Okay? So, like I said, that is why for us, we should at least aspire to stream winning in this life itself. Because that's the least we can do. Otherwise, we might lose our chance next life. Even if we are born as human beings, we are born in Afghanistan or some other unfriendly place, it's very difficult for us to learn the Dharma. The Dharma is everywhere today, it's true. But then in America, you have this very Americanized kind of teaching. It's very difficult to follow, you know. So you need to somehow return to the simple teachings of the Buddha, where it is the teaching of letting go. When you look at meditation, it is the very act of letting go. The moment you sit in meditation, the first thing you let go is your body. You sit calmly, you close your eyes, you don't worry about all the senses, and then you are left with the mind, you watch the mind, and then you let go of the mind also, let go of your thoughts, and then you are left with that peace. Then in the end you let go of the peace also, and it goes on like that. Right? So meditation is a series of letting go. That's the real letting go. Whether you're a monk or a nun, that's the letting go you must practice. That's another way. So another is to talk to them in different ways so that they inspire, you know, and people change. For example, just to close this talk with this study, Ratna studying, joined a class doing this advanced diploma course, and we've been giving our books, you know, this super just quietly to these people there. And most of them took the books. But there's one person who's very close to her, who happens to be a non-Buddhist, you know, so no, I can't take this, you know, I'm a God believer, you know, but they happen to be good friends. So I told Anna, I said, you could tell her, we're not trying to convert you, we're just saying, well, these are very beautiful ideas, you read if you're happy. You know? And then she sees other people taking, even the Muslims taking it, say, okay, why don't I take it too? You know? And she started reading it, and she felt very happy. You know? Because people do psychology courses, many of them also have personal issues, so these are the kind of books that helps them to be happy. Either they change their religion or not, it's up to them. The important thing, we have to inform them that there are choices, and Buddhism is one choice. That's our way of reaching out to people. Okay? Okay, so on that note, let us close the study with a short reflection. And once again, gathered together here with our wonderful good karma converging to enjoy and benefit from this wonderful sutta which the Buddha has left us, entitled the Kajaniya Sutta on the 5 aggregates. Studying the sutta surely must have brought us deeper wisdom, greater strength for us to continue our practice, to learn to let go of negative emotions, cultivating positive emotions. The most important, we must remember, there are many other people who do not know the beauty and the power and the healing of the suttas. So gently, patiently let us remind them, invite them to study the suttas wherever they may be. These are wonderful, good thoughts, very good mental karma. By the power of such karma, may our minds focus in this life itself. May we attain spiritual liberation in this life itself. May we, by the power of all this good karma we have done, our faith in the 3 jewels, our practice of generosity, keeping the precepts, coming for sutta study, many other good deeds, by the power of the 3 jewels. May in this life itself we attain spiritual liberation, at least true winning. In this moment of peace, let us send out our loving kindness to our teachers, our relatives, people who have been kind to us. May they all be well, may they be happy. Let us also send out our loving kindness to all other beings, especially those whom the Dharma have not touched, that they may open up themselves to benefit from the Dharma. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.